Okay. And I just think that it's really important as much as we can to stay connected. So this is the option available to us, and I'm going to try to adapt and flow with the options that we now have. I think adaptability and resilience go hand in hand. So today's practice is going to be somewhat correlated with what's been going on for everyone. I want to offer a practice that's based on the metal element in traditional Chinese five-element theory. So the metal element asks us to let go and let be. Metal also corresponds to the season of autumn, which if you're in the southern hemisphere, we're in autumn now. Spring, obviously, if you're in the northern hemisphere. But besides that, metal really asks us to let go and to let be. So for our practice today, if you can think of perhaps something that you can now let go of, whether that's a layer of your kind of outer shell mask, identifications, obsessions, roles. If something comes to mind, something that may have served you, but now possibly you can let go of, then feel free to weave that into your practice today. So we're actually going to start standing up. Let's get the energy moving a little bit. So come on up. Can everyone still hear me okay? Just let me know if you can't. Everyone can hear me? Okay, no one's saying anything, so I'm going to assume so. All right, and we're just going to start by bringing our hands together
I
in
can
front of
hear
our
you very
heart.
well, Casey.
What's that?
I can hear you very well.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you for confirming. So hands together in front of our heart. Standing, maybe feet hip width apart. And taking a nice deep breath in. Maybe feeling the spine extending slightly as you do so. And as you breathe out, maybe a little flexion of the spine, chin to chest, a little bow. And then again, one deep breath in. And an exhale. On your next inhalation, stay standing. I'm just going to come down so that everyone can definitely see. On your next inhale, we're going to lift one hand up high and the other hand low, as if you have a big ball growing between your hands. And then exhale, bring the hands back together in front of the heart. Inhaling, we'll do the opposite hand up high and the other hand down low. Exhale, let it contract back in towards the center. Your next inhale, we're going to open out to the sides. And exhaling, bring it all back in. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, one hand up, one hand down. Opening, expanding the upper back. Exhaling, back to center. Inhaling, opposite arms. Starting to feel maybe the cobwebs in the lungs being brushed away. Exhale, hands together. And out to the sides, inhaling. Exhaling, hands join in the center. Nice. From here, we're going to start what's called batting. So we're going to move from the waist, one fist hitting what's known as lung one, the letting go point, just where the shoulder joins the arm. And my other hand behind me is hitting the kidney. So this whipping motion or batting. This lung one point, just where the lungs are We might feel a little rattle of the lungs here at the top of the ribs. It's a really good point for coughs, colds, general immunity. And it's the very beginning of the lung meridian. So just starting to get the energy moving, peripheral immunity starting to get fired up. Nice. And we're going to continue the batting now. So coming back to center. With one hand, starting at that lung 1 point, we're going to bat, palm faces up, and move all the way down, kind of down that line where the tanned upper arm meets the whiter part of the underneath arm. So starting at that lung 1 point where shoulder meets arm, we're going to bat all the way down that tan line, all the way down to the base of the thumb. And then we're going to turn the palm over, and starting from the index finger, we're going to bat all the way back up. Back up, around the back of the shoulder, and then back to lung 1 at the front of the body. So we're going down this yin line on the underside, the soft side of the arm. Maybe spending a little bit more time at the elbow crease. This is a point known as crooked pond, where where a lot of our peripheral immunity stems from. So giving that point a bit of extra attention, building your immune system. And then working back down to the base of the thumb, turning the hand over, palm facing down, going from index finger all the way up, that tan, that yang line of the forearm, all the way back up, back of the shoulder. And now we'll swap arms. So other side, starting at lung 1, palm facing up, batting down that tan line to the base of the thumb, and then turning the palm down, going from the index finger all the way back up, spending a bit of time at crooked pond, that crease of the elbow, peripheral immunity, Wei Qi. And then all the way back up, around the back of the shoulder. One more time from lung 1, all the way down. And then from index finger all the way back up. Good way to prime your immune system before you have to go into Woolies. All right, and from here, we're going to start to swing the arms. So maybe with a little bounce in the knees, swinging the arms. We want to start to get some energy moving in the upper body. So imagining kind of like a monkey in the trees. So you can just stay like this. You can make it as gentle or as, active as you like. Maybe you could even add a lift of the opposite foot. So right hand, left foot lifts, or even a bit of a skip, swinging through those trees. Get the energy moving, get the chi flowing. All right. Nice work, monkeys. Excellent. Okay. So from here, we're going to come down to the floor. But we'll come down by coming to just a little forward fold first. So bringing the feet quite wide apart. Folding forward with the knees bent. Letting the head kind of just drip down as if it's a big, ripe mango. So the head is really heavy. Breathing into the whole back of the body, the backs of the legs. The more space that's between your thighs, the more room there is for your belly. That might be more comfortable for some people. All right. And from here, let's come down onto our knees. And we're going to, hopefully everyone can see, we're going to come into a tabletop position, still working with the thoracic and the upper back. So from your tabletop, hands underneath shoulders, knees under hips. we're going to, with either arm, inhale and open out to the side. And as we exhale, we're going to thread that arm down behind the other arm and follow it with our shoulder and with the rest of the body. Inhaling, pressing through that grounding hand to open up again. And then exhale, threading. One more like that. So inhaling, opening out through the arm. Exhale, threading, coming all the way down, maybe bringing that opposite ear to the floor. Palm of that threading arm is facing up. You can either keep it right here or with the free arm, the grounded hand, you can lift it up. Or you could even reach out above your head with your fingertips, making space here. Imagining your whole body is like a conduit for energy. So as much as possible, see where you can create space. And then walking the hands back in, coming to tabletop again, and we'll do that same thing on the other side. So inhaling, other arm up, exhale, threading. Inhaling. Just letting your belly be quite soft. Exhale, thread. One more big inhalation. We're trying to free up that thoracic. And exhale, thread. This time, come all the way down, glue that ear to the ground. And just feel here that space between the shoulder blades opening up. You can either stay there or there's an option to raise that other arm up, or even reach up above the head, mangrove fingers, stick them into the floor, and just exploring the spaces. We'll take one more deep breath in. I'm just going to check in and see how everyone's doing today. Nice. Exhaling here. So we're going to come back to our tabletop now and come into just on the belly, one more little chest opener, coming to a Sphinx pose. Now, for some people, having belly on the floor is not going to feel good, say, for example, if you're pregnant. So in that case, I'll just get you to sit on your heels and maybe interlace fingers behind your back and open your chest up with an inhale that way. For everyone else, we're going to come down onto our belly if that's comfortable and come onto our forearms, elbows underneath the shoulders or even a little bit further out. Imagining that you're like a big white tiger. So the white tiger is the totem animal for the metal element in Chinese medicine. And as we inhale, imagine that you're clawing the mat or the floor with your fingertips, almost as if you're pulling your claws back towards you and inhaling, opening up through the chest. So rather than trying to get really high, which can jam the lower back, see if you can pull or move the chest forward on an inhale. And then as you exhale, you might flex the spine a little, bring the head back towards the floor. And 2 more breaths like that. Option to come into a cobra instead, a cobra variation. Or if you are already quite warmed up, you could do an upward facing dog, but I'm just going to stay with the Sphinx. So you're moving through that breath. Inhaling to open, move the heart space forward. And exhale to close it back down. Good. Excellent, everyone. Okay. Last bit before we get into more yang part of the class, we're going to come back up onto our hands and knees and then come to sit on our heels. So for most people, toes tucked won't be as comfortable as toes untucked. For some people, toes tucked is fine, especially if you're a body worker or you're used to a lot of floor work, toes touch might be okay. Just see what works for you. And for those with lower back issues going on, so Angel, just take this really slow, or you might want to adjust it as you need to, or even skip it completely. We're going to be coming into a very gentle back bend, but it's still a back bend. So we're going to tuck our tailbone under here. Before we do anything, we're going to bring our hands behind us. And you might already be feeling something here. If this is still okay for you, you might start to press through the shins, keep that tailbone tucked in, inhale in a kind of variation on camel. Inhale, lifting up, squeezing shoulder blades together. And exhale. What we're going to do is we exhale, come all the way back down, bring the crown of the head to the floor, and roll over a little bit towards the back of the head into a hare pose. And then as we inhale, we're coming back into this very camel pose, your variation. So again, that might just be coming spine perpendicular to floor. Exhale, bringing the top of the head to the floor, rolling towards the back of the head. So we're getting into that cervicothoracic joint. It's known as the rusty hinge, where there's a lot of traffic jamming happening with nerves and things like that. So we're opening that up. Just a couple more inhales here. So your camel variation. For those who feel up to it, you can even hold onto the heels, come up a little higher, maybe the head can come back. But it can be quite strong, especially this early in a practice. Just listen to your body. And then head coming to the floor in an exhale option, either hands near the knees or holding onto the heels, rolling forward. So you might really start to feel that upper back space between the shoulder blades opening up. One more like that in your own time. Inhaling for your camel and exhaling for the hare pose. Nice. When you're ready, coming back up. We're going to come all the way to the top of the mat now. Or if you don't have a mat, just coming up to standing. Coming into Tadasana. So we'll start to move through. I'll just make sure that you guys can see. Start to move through some sun salutation. Full body prayer. So feet can be together or hip width apart. And on an inhalation, we're going to lift the arms up. And they can stay out to the sides a little bit. Full body prayer, as if your whole body is becoming a conduit for energy. Maybe a back bend here if your back is happy with that. And as we exhale, we fold forward. Knees can bend as much as you need into Uttanasana. Backs of the hands to the floor. Letting the whole upper body kind of just pull like a waterfall down towards the center of the earth. Inhale, we can halfway lift. Hands can be on the shins or fingertips to the floor. And then exhale, hands to floor. We're going to step back into a downward facing dog. So hips high, knees can be bent. Heels don't have to be on the floor. You're moving your fingers forward away from you and your hips back towards whatever's behind you. Nice. Just taking big, deep breaths in. Maybe feeling that the abdominal organs are kind of pressing up against the diaphragm, starting to move towards the bases of the lungs. One more deep breath in here. And exhaling. As you inhale, come onto your knees. Now there's an option here to extend the spine a little bit, leading from the front body. So as we lead from the front body, we keep a little bit of activity going on in our abdomen. And we start to move the very back of the head towards the tailbone. So pregnant maybe not so much a good idea to stay in a neutral spine instead. Otherwise, everyone else, if it's okay, inhale in. As you exhale, we're going to bring chin and chest towards the floor. Hips stay high up in the air. And then as you inhale, ripple through, come to a cobra. Low cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes. Bring the sit bones to the heels, child. You can stay here for a little bit longer, or if it's okay, inhale, come back onto hands and knees. Exhale, tuck toes, float the knees back to downward facing dog. All right. Just taking one big breath in here. I'm just going to check how everything's breathing. Those people I can see, looking good. Okay. So we're going to move through a little metal element warrior flow now. So as we inhale next, we're going to lift our right leg high. And then as you exhale, bend the knee and step that foot between the hands. If you need to take a few steps to get there, that's totally fine. Just bring that left knee towards the floor. Rest the left knee on the ground. So we're coming to a low lunge. Nice. Taking a breath in. Exhale, letting the hips sink again towards the center of the earth, but still having some scissoring of the feet towards one another. There's still some action in the inner thigh. Inhale, we're going to lift the arms up high. And exhale here, get really grounded through the feet. You can either stay exactly where you are, if you feel like you can go a little bit stronger. Keep the back toes tucked and inhale, float that back knee up off the ground. Nice. Exhale, for those still with me, bring your arms by the sides of the body and hands, fingertips pointing all the way back behind you. Your chest is going to start leaning forward, arrowhead pose. You can actually do this with your back knee on the floor if you need. Take one more breath in here. Exhale completely, keep those legs strong. You're going to start to feel them. And then keep that back knee lifted as you inhale. Lift the arms all the way up, high lunge. Now as you exhale, you're going to bring your left hand forward and your right hand back as if you're pulling the string of a bow. This is called an archer's lunge. So you're going to inhale, it's like you're pulling the string of the bow back as you inhale, and then releasing. As we exhale, we're going to change by swiveling that left heel in to the back foot flat on the floor, the right knee stays bent, and we're going to open up to an archer warrior. So from the front, it looks like this. Just like a warrior too, except we're holding a bow, an arrow. If anyone's not with me, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep going. So we're going to inhale here, holding our bow and arrow. Take aim. And as you exhale, lift that left heel up off the floor so you can pivot and change to the warrior lunge. That's where your right knee is bent and your right hand's pulling back. Inhale, aim the arrow. Exhale, change. Inhale, aim. Exhale, change. One more, inhale. Exhale, change. Inhale, aim, maybe a little higher this time. Exhale, lifting both arms up. Back heel lifted. Exhale, hands to the floor. You can either step back into a downward dog or a child's pose, or if you're feeling more yang, you can step back into plank. Inhale in plank. Exhale, lower either all the way down or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog if that's in your practice, or a cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. So you can stay here in down dog. You can rest in child's pose. Or you can do something else entirely. You might want to come down onto the hands and knees, come into some cat size. Really, this is your practice, so whatever feels good is what you should do. A little pause before we come into it on the other side. I'll take silence as a sign we're all okay. All right. And eventually we're all going to meet once again in downward facing dog. So your feet are about hip width apart here. And remember, you can bend your knees. So you, at any time you're getting a bit tired, you can bring your knees to the floor. One of the good things about this online platform is that we don't have as much of that dependent kind of light on us. We really can just listen to our bodies and breathe. Yeah, awesome. Okay. So when you're ready, we're going to do the other side. We'll come back into our downward facing dog. This time, inhale, let the left leg float up high, three-legged down dog. As you exhale, bend the knees, step forward between the hands. If you don't quite get there, that's fine. Take a few steps forward. Or even swing that leg out to the side. Some people find that really helps them to get that foot forward. Back knee to the floor. Coming into our low lunge. So you can bring your hands to your hips if you like. If you need some extra padding under that right knee, then you can fold your mat over or grab a pillow or a blanket if you've got one. Inhale here. So we want to extend out from the waist and find length through the spine. Middle element is really, if you haven't already figured it out, really attached to breath, air, and respiration. So really trying to open up those lungs. Exhale, let the pelvis sink down, but magnetize the feet towards one another. And then this bit's optional. You can keep that back knee on the floor or tuck the back toes if they're not already. And inhale, float that back knee up off the ground. As if there's a big kind of beach ball underneath your right thigh, and it's keeping that right thigh really buoyant. Either stay here or sweep the arms behind you, fingertips pointing back and away from you for arrowhead. Torso coming forward a little bit. So middle element is also about precision, taking aim, knowing the direction in which you wish to go. Inhale, keeping that back knee lifted or not. Bring the arms up high lunge. Exhale here. We're going to come into our archer's lunge. So your right hand's going to come forward like that's the hand holding the bow. And your left hand's going to draw the invisible string back. Taking aim as you inhale. Let the arrow go. Exhale. Swivel the right heel in. Swap hands. So your left hand is forward. Your right arm moves back, pulling the string on the bow. Inhale. Aim. Exhale. Change. Back heel lifts. Inhale, aim. Exhale. Change. Archer warrior. One or two more like that in your own time. Inhaling. So that back heel is what allows you to change between the two moves. Strong sequence for the legs. Nice. The next time you come to your archer warrior, we're going to bring the hands to the hips. Straighten both legs and turn the toes towards the long side of the mat. So you've got quite a bit of a distance between your feet. Cool. A little micro bend in the knees is fine. We're going to bring the hands behind the back and interlace the fingers, all the fingers except for the index finger. So remember, this is where our large intestine, our colon meridian runs. So we've got the lung meridian and the colon meridian. These two meridians, these two organs are all about letting go. So that's what we've got behind our back, this kind of pistol grip. Large intestine meridian. We're inhaling, maybe moving the hands away from the base of the spine. Little micro bend through the knees, toes slightly pigeon-toed. And as we exhale, we might start to hinge forward from the hips. Maybe those hands or arms come over the head. Maybe they stay closer to the lower back. Maybe the hands just stay on the hips for today. So this is the makaho for the metal element. For those of you who like to visualize, you can imagine the color white. And you can even add the sound. This is all metal element letting go. Really tapping into those organ systems that allow us to release, to let go. On an inhalation, a little bend through the knees, we're going to come all the way up. We'll turn toes out and bend the knees, coming into a goddess pose now. So hands can rest just above the knees. Your chest is forward, so you're kind of leaning here. You're going to take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, dip one shoulder in towards the center. You exhale, look out over the other shoulder. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, other side. So again, we're moving energy in the lungs. Inhale, center. Exhale, dip one shoulder forward. Look over the opposite shoulder. To target the thoracic spine more, inhale, center. We dip the shoulder forward, but we keep looking down at the floor. And you might find you feel that more in your upper back. So upper backs, especially at a time of uncertainty and tumult like right now, I don't know about you, but I hold a lot of tension in my upper back. So this is really good for me. If you spend a lot of time at a computer, which a lot of us are doing more of now, in ISO, that kind of thing, we might need to give our upper backs a little bit more love. All right, inhale to center. So from here, let's straighten our legs again once more. I'm just going to turn the screen down so you can see. I'm going to move into Skandasana kind of flow. So for that one, we bend one knee, and you can use your hands to help yourself come down lower. So one knee is bent kind of forwards, away from you. And the other, both feet stay flat on the ground. And we're going to simply move from side to side by walking the hands from side to side. Inhale to really open those adductors at inner thigh. And then walking. If that's too intense for you, you can just actually stay here and not worry about this bit so much. If you're feeling like that's quite easy for you, try it with no hands. And maybe you can even add a double block. So inhale, crossing hands in the center. Exhale, like a low Skandasana. Your chest is more parallel to the floor in this low Skandasana. And optional, you can actually point the toes of that long leg foot up. The inhales, crossing arms in the center. Exhale, double block. It's a bit of a martial arts movement. So just playing with that for maybe one or two more breaths. Remembering you can have your hands on the floor if this one's too intense. Just take it easy, listen to your body. And then inhale, we're going to come back to the floor and walk all the way back to the top of the mat. Step both feet to the top of the mat, feet about hip width apart, and fold forward. There's a little caterpillar on it. Again, letting that head be really heavy, breathing into the whole back body. Knees really quite low. Well done. Taking a nice deep breath in, really thinking about lungs open. Exhale. All right, we've got a little bit to go before we come down to the floor. So inhale, we're slowly going to roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time. Bend the knees. Come all the way up to standing. Back to Tadasana, mountain pose. This time I'll get you to bring, if possible, the feet together. If you need to keep them hip width apart, if that's okay. We're going to bend the knees, sweep the arms forward and up, come into fierce pose, our chair pose. Inhale. So it's as if you're sitting down in a chair. We won't do it for long, don't worry. Inhale here. And then exhale, fold forward. Coming back to our Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, we're going to step our right foot back. And we're not going to step it a long way back, just maybe, not quite a warrior length stance back. And then see if you can press through your feet and come up to standing, hands on the hips. If you're imagining that you're standing on train tracks rather than one foot behind the other, you'll find it's a lot easier to balance. And ideally, both feet flat on the floor. The hips are squared to the top of the mat. Hands are on the hips. If you need to, you can actually keep your back heel lifted. We're going to come into Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose here. So inhale again, we find that length through the spine. And as you exhale, we're pivoting forward from the hips, keeping both legs kind of straight-ish. Imagining that you're trying to move your chin past your toes. So some of us might not come down that much, that's okay. Some of us might come down quite a ways. If you're finding this quite accessible for you, you can actually come back up, hold on to the elbows behind your back, or even come into a reverse namaste, reverse prayer behind the back. Inhaling and exhale, folding forward, coming into it that way. We're going to take maybe 3 more breaths here. Let me just check everyone. Imagining that you're balancing a cup of tea on your lower back. Nice. One more breath within the arms. Body is box, breath is box. Stay upright if you need. Inhaling, we're going to come all the way back up now. And we're going to move into a triangle pose. So for this one, instead of our hips squared forward, we're going to open them out to the side, out to the long edge of the mat. You might need to adjust that back foot a bit, so the toes might turn out a little bit more. We inhale, arms up to shoulder height. As we exhale, we reach out through the left fingers, reach, and then bring that hand down to wherever it naturally wants to come. Top hand can either go straight up or hand to hip. And you can either look straight ahead or gaze up at the right thumb with your left eye. Or if that's not feeling so great for your neck, you can actually even look down. Also an option to reach over the head with that top arm. So lots of different things you could do here in Trikonasana. What I'd like you to think about is opening out that right side body, but also keeping the left side body open. Try not to collapse. Keep that breath moving. One more big breath in here. And exhale, look to the floor and bring your right hand either to the floor or if you need to, just come up first. Back to the pyramid pose, hands on hips. So if you have a block here, we're going to come into revolve triangle. If you have a block and you know that it would be handy for a revolve triangle, by all means grab onto it. If you don't, that's okay though. I'm going to show you how to come into this. So revolve triangle, it just starts the same as the pyramid pose we did first. We fold forward from the hips. Now for some people that's going to be enough for today. We're really getting into these secondary colon meridians in the back of the hamstrings. If you can go further, if you're familiar with revolve triangle, that right hand might come to the floor next to the left foot. If you've got a block, you could use your block here. Or the right hand might come onto the left shin or even the left foot. Keep moving your left hip back in space. Those feet are still on your train tracks. That will help with balance. Either stay here or that left arm can come up for your revolve triangle. Make sure you keep breathing. Let's have a little look at how it goes. Tricky pose. So if you need to readjust, come out of it, readjust, that's totally fine. Nice there. If it doesn't feel right with your body, don't bother. Nice, Hayley. Good adjustment. Awesome, Sarah. Okay, let's slowly come out of this now. So pressing through your feet, using the strength of your core to come all the way back up. Now, from here, we're going to come into one last little stretch on this side. It's a bit of an interesting one. You can bend your knees, bring your hands either side of your front foot, and then see if you can stick that foot out to the side and straighten it. So you're pressing through your hands. This might be too strong for some people, in which case rest your hip, especially that left hip, onto the floor for a sleeping triangle. Otherwise, for fallen triangle, we keep pressing the hands into the floor. We press strongly into that left hand, really lock that shoulder in, and then maybe inhale, right arm up, fallen triangle. May or may not happen today. Exhale the hand back to the floor. Bend that left knee, step the foot back in, and you can either, again, come to a child's pose, a down dog, or you might want to move for a vinyasa. Totally up to you. Most important thing is that you feel your body is still open to the free flow of chi. We might choose to do a vinyasa, but if we're feeling locked up and out of breath or constricted, then maybe not moving so much would be the better option. All right, coming back to downward facing dog. And we'll do the other side. So from downward dog, let's step our right foot forwards and come up to our train track stance. So right foot forward this time, hands on the hips. You're standing on two different sides of the train track. Square the hips towards the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Get the air moving, blow the cobwebs out of the lungs. And then exhale, start to hinge forward from the hips. Just listening, letting go of the need to make the pose look a certain way. Again, those options for holding onto the elbows or reverse namaste behind the back, for those who are okay with that. Really pressing into the base of the right big toe and the heel. See if you can extend the crown of the head out away from the base of the spine. And then on an inhalation, we're going to press through the feet to come all the way back up. So keeping our feet where they are, we're going to come into our triangle now. So opening the hips to the side, that back foot might need to adjust a little. Inhale, opening arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, reaching out over towards the right side. And then bring the hand down to wherever it naturally wants to go. The triangle pose. Thanks, Shirley. Awesome. We'll just take a couple of breaths. Imagining that if your body were a clenched fist, how would this pose change if you unclench the fist? Could it become more expansive, more soft? All right, we're going to press through the feet. Inhale. Come on up. And then coming into that pyramid pose once again. So square your hips back to the top of the mat. We can either repeat that pyramid pose once again, or we can come into our revolve triangle. So that's where our left hand moves towards the floor next to the right foot, If you've got a block, this is a great time to use the block. Here's my invisible block. Right hip moves back away from you. Right hand might be on hip. Left hand might actually come to the right shin. And then inhaling, our right arm might come up, or it might just stay on the hip. So see what works for your body. Maybe this pose isn't for you today. It's a tricky pose. Okay. Pressing through the feet to come on up. Looking to the floor, look at your right foot. Bend the knees a little bit, we're going to come down to the mat now. So hands either side of the right foot. Move your back foot back a little if you need to. We're going to come into that fallen triangle, so that right foot out to the left side, if that makes sense. Hopefully you can see. That's what it looks like. And you can even come down onto your right butt cheek, your right hip. Or if you can, keep the hips lifted, press down and spiral down and out through your right hand. You inhale, lift your left up. And you can play with the position of that right foot. The higher it goes, the more you'll feel that secondary colon meridian in the back of the hamstring. Then bringing the hand back to the floor, bring the foot back in, coming all the way down to sitting. Well done, everyone. Challenging poses there. So we're going to come more to the yin part of the class now. We're definitely coming down the other side of the mountain. I'll get you to bend your right knee, left leg long, and cross the foot over to the left side. Cross it over the leg. So we're going to come into a twist. If you're pregnant, menstruating, or just want to be really gentle today, you're going to twist to the left, so that left hand will come behind you, and you can hold onto your right knee with your right hand, or even bring the elbow in front of the knee. For those of you who are okay with a closed twist today, we hold onto the right knee with the left hand, right hand behind the back. We inhale to lengthen the spine, we exhale to gently twist. From the belly, from the middle back, from the shoulders, and maybe finally from the neck. So open twist or closed twist, your choice. One more breath here. Exhaling. Coming back to face the front. We'll swap sides. So right leg long, left knee bent. And so the open twist this time, once you cross your foot over, if you're doing the open twist, you don't really even need to cross your foot over. Optional. Open twist is to the right. Closed twist will be to the left. Whichever variation you're doing, try to keep your spine moving upwards. We're really trying to keep that space, because the more space we can create through the rib cage here, the more capacity we have to really let go of any bits of stuff, physically or otherwise. We don't really need to hold on to anything. Nice, everyone. Inhale back to center. Exhale, just bring both feet in front of you, knees bent now. Bring the hands behind you, if that's okay for your hands. Feet quite wide, so a bit wider than hip width, maybe mat width. And we're going to start to windshield wipe the knees from side to side. Breathing as you move, synchronizing breath with movement. Let the movement guide the breath. So you don't even really have to think about it that much. Your body just sorts it out for you. Movement propels breath. The next time both your knees come to the right, we're going to keep them there. Pick up our left hand. We're coming into this pose called deer pose. So the knees still point to the right. Our left hand comes around to the floor on the right side. So both hands are on the floor. And you'll start to feel a twist. It's like a a really yummy juicing action through your whole spine. You might just stay on the hands. And again, if you're pregnant, menstruating, just need to keep more openness in your belly, you might just stay on your hands, or even just keep your left hand behind you. That could be plenty of a twist. For those who have a bit more juice left in the orange, you might want to bring your elbows in. Or you might even extend that left arm and walk it out. Walk the arms out away from you. Explore that movement through your shoulder, your upper back, your side ribs. Nice. So release the lower back, nice deep abdomen stretch as well. Unwind. So we're going to slowly make our way out of this now, coming back onto the hands, slowly turning back to the center, bring knees back to center, and then knees over to the other side for deer pose on the other side. So again, bring that right hand over to your left side, or not, maybe keeping the belly more free, if that's better for you. Or there's that option to come down onto the knee, onto the elbows, the arms. And then exploring. Maybe that right arm extends. Maybe the forehead wants to melt towards the floor a bit. Maybe the chest wants to turn towards the floor. What feels good is often what is right, funnily enough. If there's constriction, if there's tightness, if there's ossification, then we probably want to move away from that and into a more open, free option. Well done, everyone. All right. Let's slowly come on up. Walk the hands back. And coming up to the middle. We're going to stretch out the back of the legs. So just staying up here for one more thing, hands behind us. Actually, no, let's come onto our back. That'll be more comfortable. Hopefully you can all see. Definitely can. So come onto your back, knees bent. We're going to come to thread the needle. So crossing your right ankle over your left thigh. And then you can either bring the hands behind that left thigh, so you're threading your right arm between the eye of the needle, hands behind the left thigh, or for those who prefer, you can hold onto the left shin. And on an exhalation, we're encouraging that left knee closer to the chest. So there's that. If people want a little bit more, you can actually straighten your left leg. And with the hands, hold on to the shin or the back of the left calf. That's an option as well. Just taking another 3 or so breaths here. Okay, let's swap sides, guys and gals and folks. Let's swap sides. So, other side, taking the option that works for you. And this should start to feel really juicy, really yummy. It's a more accessible version of pigeon pose. So some people find it really hard to get into pigeon pose. It is a bit of an awkward pose. If that is you, this is a really nice alternative. And you get to be on your back. So again, if you straighten that leg before, go for it. If that's too strong, don't worry about that. You could even just leave your foot on the floor and still get a stretch. I sometimes say that the less you have to do to feel the stretch, the luckier you are. Okay, one more breath there, everyone. Well done. And time has run away from me. So to finish off, we could just come straight into Shavasana, lying on the floor. If you wish to do any other posture, so maybe a shoulder stand or plow pose or Viparita Karani, legs in the air, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can take an extended Shavasana. So a little bit of freestyle, this last couple of minutes now. I won't talk you through the shoulder stand because it's a bit involved. But if that's in your practice and you know how to do it and you feel like doing it, feel free. Otherwise, we're going to slowly start making our way into Shavasana. So for those in shoulder stand, making sure that you come into Matsyasana or a fish pose once you've finished your shoulder stand, just to reopen that throat up again. For everyone else, getting comfortable, and if you have a bolster or blankets you want to use, nice Marie and Andrea. So cool to see legs in the air. It's wonderful. Yeah. So if you are coming into Shavasana and you want to pop something under your knees, a bolster, that will actually allow not only your lower back to release, but your belly to soften. And when our bellies are soft, that gives our nervous system a pretty strong signal that it can relax. So if you have anything you can pop up under your knees in Shavasana, that would be great. So as you come down into Shavasana now, thanks, Hayley. We'll just be here for a couple of minutes because it is already 9:30. Time always flies with these. As you come into Shavasana, see if you can again bring that image of a clenched fist into your mind and imagine the fist slowly unclenching. You can even actually clench your fists and then on an exhale, let that hand slowly unfurl.
Out. Out.
And see if you can, sorry if that got louder, everyone, I'm just holding the mic. I'll try to speak more softly. See if you can really imagine as your hand opens that your grip on your thoughts is also softening. When we can really deeply let go and let be, our energy flows much more freely. And we can reconnect with our natural aliveness. You can just stay here, lying or sitting in Shavasana. I'm just going to offer some words from Tilopa. Let go of what is past. Let go of what may come. Let go even of what is happening now. Don't try to figure anything out. Don't try to make anything happen. Relax right now and rest. So staying there as long as you need. If you are feeling ready to start coming back to the surface, you can start by deepening the breath. Taking your time. Taking one deep breath. Sometimes can make all the difference between reacting and responding. So if you do feel ready to transition out of Shavasana, feel free. Wiggling toes, fingers, breathing deeply, sending more breath to the peripheral parts of the body. And eventually rolling to one side, any side, curling up into a ball for a few moments, making this transition really gentle, as if you're emerging from the water without making any ripples. And then in your own time, you can slowly come back to sitting. Well done, everyone. So you might have read that for all of these live yoga sessions, I'm going to offer that little check-in at the start, which I'd normally do in a class anyway. But in future, we may expand that a little bit, just check in a more kind of structured, formal way. Then, of course, we have our yoga instruction. And then right now at the end, once we've finished our class, I'm going to offer a little mini homework assignment. So it's totally optional. But just to allow you to maybe infuse the rest of your week with your practice, with this practice today, as if you're kind of infusing it with, like, think of a really yummy herbal tea that you like, and we want to infuse the whole cup of tea with that, not just have this concentrated little bit for 1 hour a week. We want to really draw it out as long as we can. So the homework assignment is twofold. There's an easy option, which is simply take one deep breath. I found that has helped me a lot. Just if I can remember, take one deep breath. That can make a difference between losing my shit and responding, I've found. So take one deep breath. And then the second part, again, optional, is if anyone has anything that they'd like to add, that they'd like to say, if there's a word to describe how you're feeling right now, feel free to unmute yourself and share that. No pressure. No one. We're all just chilling.
Grateful. Thank you,
Oh,
Stacey.
thanks, Rue. Pleasure. Okay. So if there's no one else who wants to add anything, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I might see some of you next week. So just to give you a heads up, from this point onwards, the classes are donation based. No one turned away for lack of funds. So, you know, I leave it up to each individual person. You're the only one who can decide what's going to be accessible for you. But my goal is to make these classes accessible to everyone, regardless of finances. So if you can't make a contribution, that's okay. If you can make the $5 suggested donation, that's okay. If you want to donate more, then by all means do that. But yeah, it's just going to be donation based from here on. There's a Facebook event with all the details and the link and payment options and details and all that stuff. But yeah, I think I just want to thank everyone for being here today. This is really cool. I've never done this before, so thanks for bearing with me. I plan to upgrade my equipment to make the sound clearer and to make the video better quality as we move
Thanks
forward.
so much, Casey.
Thanks, Bronte.
Thank you.
Great to have you join in. Thanks, Sonia, Amy.
Thanks so much, Dilly.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you for joining from LA.
Hi everyone, lovely to see you all.
Lovely to see you. Thank you, Carol, Ed, Bronte and Man.
This is Marty.
Oh, hey. Hey, Marty. Nice to see you guys. Okay.
Thank you,
everyone.
Casey.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'll stay here for another couple of minutes if anyone does want to ask me anything or chat, but feel free to leave whenever you want.
Hey Casey,
Hello.
I need to cancel my